Hey, hi everyone. Hi, this is Kevin here. I'm going to do this short video to share with you guys how to go about calculating your HDB sales proceeds, right? I'm looking at this Excel spreadsheet that I did previously. All right, it's kind of like all started because I wanted to do a calculator showing people how they can uh, sell off their one HDB and upgrade to two condos because I think recently there have been a lot of talk about this, right? So we also do get asked that question quite often. I actually came out with this calculator to let people do it hands-on themselves so that you can input in your existing flat details and your own financial conditions. Excuse me, and then at the end of the day, derive at the end results to tell yourself, let yourself know whether is it a viable exercise for you and your family, right? It may or may not be, right? But it's always good to be able to know the big picture first before you go about to sell your house, right? And then along the way, I've added the affordability calculator, right? For people to calculate, have a gauge of how much do they think based on their conditions, existing condition they can borrow, what kind of budget should they set for their next purchase. I've also added the stamp duty calculator. This is an interesting one, break-even calculator, because there's a lot of new launch going on today. With this break-even calculator, you will be able to give yourself a good idea. If you were to buy at X price today, um, what kind of price do you have to sell in 5 years' time in order for you to break even? So it gives you things in objective manner, right? I also did a real rental yield calculator. But today I'm going to talk about this, all right? A very pretty simple, straightforward HDB sales proceeds calculator. But nevertheless, it's a very important step. In fact, this will be the first thing that you would need to do if you are thinking of selling off your HDB flat, and then perhaps you want to downsize, perhaps you want to upgrade, or perhaps you are just looking to shift because of your kids, right? Then you're looking to sell this house, use the sales proceeds plus your existing finances, and then see whether you can what kind of a house you'll be able to aim for with your next purchase. So you have to do this very accurately so that it gives you a accurate outlook on how much will you get when you eventually sell this house, right? Let's go through the items one by one, and then at the end of the day you'll be able to derive at the potential sales proceeds that you would receive, right? So first thing first is, of course, the resale price is the determination of the sale price that you think you can realistically achieve with your flat, right? The good thing about Singapore is the prices are all pretty transparent. With a bit of work, anybody can actually go online and find out how much the flats in their area are selling for. So all you have to do is to visit the HDB website. Just Google for HDB resale flat prices, or just go to the website and surf around. You'll come to this page where you can actually put in the parameters here, and then you'll be able to see the recent transacted prices. Right, for me, this is the go-to. Some sellers might always like to quote selling prices from listing portals like Property Guru or 99.co, but do bear in mind that those are just asking prices by agents and by sellers. It may or may not happen. And when it comes to budgeting, it's all about being conservative. So it will always be good to just take the prices that are real that and have happened. So you can click seller buyer, doesn't really matter. So I'm just gonna assume that we are looking at foreign flat today. Let's just use Pongo HDB town as a reference. All right, street name or block number. Personally, when I do this, I would always tend to go with the block number because streets can be a bit long, and then you will always want to compare units that are of the same make and model. Uh, so and usually for town planning, they always tend to build in clusters of 10. So say if you stay in block 635, so chances are block 630 to 639 will be all the same type built at the same time and within the same compound. So that's how I go about doing this block number search. So let's say we are talking about 635. So I'm going to put 630 to 639 because if you were to just search for your block alone, it may not give you enough useful data for your reference also. Right, so registration date, 6 months, 12 months, that's fine. Depends on how much transaction there are in this area. All right, I'll go with 12 months and then just refer to the more recent ones. I'll leave this blank and let's click accept. Okay, so voila. So here we have the results, right? Four-room flat, Pongo 630 to 639, prices for the past 1 year, last year September till now, right? Total records found 16. Yeah, I think this area a bit more transaction. Sometimes if you try searching for perhaps like say executive mansionette or certain areas, you will not find as much meaningful data. So that's where you have to expand your search a bit, right? Right, but let's just go back to this example. So you from here, right, you will see, as I mentioned, because they are of the same cluster, so they are all built in the same commencement date, all premium apartments. Perhaps there are some that has a slightly 2 square meter less. You have to find out why. Not too sure. All right, could be the layout. Right, and then of course they will also give you story 4 to 6, 13 to 15. They will not give you the exact unit number, unfortunately, unless you pay for those subscription providers like SRX, which some of us do have, right? If not, but this free resource is definitely just good enough because what you want is a feel of the prices that you can get in your area. So you have to match your own unit with theirs. All right. The one of the major determining factors is of course the facing and also the floor levels. So if yours is on the mid floor or low floors, then you just have to refer to those units that were sold on the mid to lower floor, and then if you're on the higher floor, then you refer those to the higher floor, right? And then depending on the prices, do not pick what you want to see. That's what I can advise, right? Be objective, take a big picture view, and take the average of the more recent transactions. Because at the end of the day, we are doing a budgeting, so it's good to be conservative. Should you at the end of the day manage to sell higher for what here the prices here are indicated, that's of course good for you, and that will be a bonus. But let's just assume that um, let's just assume for the worst, that you probably be able to sell at probably this price or maybe slightly lower. So use that, right, as a conservative approach, right? So okay, I'm just going to randomly take a figure here. I'm just going to take the latest one, which is 386,000, and put it into my calculator, right? There might be some linears that are higher, could be maybe really because the house is nicely done up, that we won't really know. So again, just try to take the average for a conservative approach. So I'm going to put 386, all right, into my calculator. 386, 386,000. Okay, so we're done with the price, all right, the sales price. Now is to identify the individual expense item so that you can very accurately determine the potential sales proceed you may get, right? So there are a couple of items here that I need to go through. There are two main big ticket items, namely the outstanding mortgage loan and your CPF that you have used. So let's talk about the mortgage loan first. So most of us would have bought the HDB flat with mortgage, with HDB or with the bank. So you need to find out what's this outstanding amount that you have currently that you need to give back to the financial institution before the rest of it will come into your pocket. So how do we go about doing that? We have to go to HDB website. All right, over here. Okay, and then this is a home page. Just look for this login, and then you will see this my login to my HDB page. If it's under two owners, husband and wife, either party can log in. They will be able to see the same thing, right? So you will need your SingPass to log in. So let me just log in, and I'll see you on the inside. Okay, so once you are logged in, this is what you will see on the dashboard or the homepage of my HDB page, right? Some of your personal information regarding your flat, your vehicle, so on and so forth, right? What we are interested in today is, of course, the flat. So just go to the left-hand side menu bar here, look at my flat, expand it, purchase flat. Go ahead and click on it. Okay, and once you have clicked on it, you will see this right in front of this screen here with several options. We are interested in the second one, which is the financial info. So go ahead and click on it as well. All right, so once you are in, you will be able to see my account balance. All right, basically information with regards to your housing, your property, your HDB flat. What we are interested in here is the second item, which is the outstanding balance. So you will be able to see a figure here if you have a bank loan or an outstanding loan for that matter, right? And this is the figure that is outstanding as of today, right? Of course, 3 months down the road, you would have made a few more installment payments and it will be slightly lesser, but it is good enough. You can just take this figure and work with this for now. So I'm going to plug this figure into my Excel spreadsheet. Okay, and for the purpose of this discussion, I am just going to use 150,000 as an example to show that I have 150,000 as my outstanding loan. Right, so go ahead and put this in. Right, so like here, 150,000 outstanding mortgage. Okay, so this is the amount that you first need to net off from your resale price before you will get any other sales proceeds left. Right, the next item before I go to CPF is this thing called resale levy. So resale levy will apply to you if you are a second timer. So say example, if you have previously bought a BTO from direct from HDB, or you have bought a resale flat and then you have bought it using grant. All right, so there's this grant that you took to offset your purchase price. It is considered that you have used your first time eligible subsidy from HDB. So as a second timer, you cannot enjoy the subsidy 2 times. So there's this levy that will be imposed on you that you have to pay. And but of course that is provided if your next purchase is a brand new BTO again, or you're thinking of buying an executive condo directly from the developer. So you can find out more from the HDB website as well, right? So over here, you can just do a search for resale levy, right? So situations in which resale levy, right? So you dispose of your subsidized flat and buy a second subsidized flat, or you're buying an EC, right? Uh, okay, there are also cases where you did not pay resale levy, but I think this actually is no longer valid for us lah, because all those EC that do not need to pay resale levy are pretty much fully sold already. So going forward, all the ECs that we have, like including Piedmont Grand, currently they're selling. If you are a second timer, then you have to pay this resale levy amount. Right. That also depends on how much you have to pay. Also depends on when you sold off your subsidized flat. So if you sold it off before 2006 March, 3rd of March 2006, then there's this table that you have to follow. But you sold on or after, then there's this table that you have to follow instead. Most of us would probably fall under this category, so I'm just going to refer to this table instead. Right, so depending on the size of the flat that you bought. So for our example, we are looking at a 4-room flat in Punggol. So 4-room flat, your resale levy will be 40,000. All right, and how do you pay this resale levy? Right, resale levy, okay, again, there's some information here. There are 2 scenarios. Okay, let's talk about first scenario. First scenario is where perhaps you sold this subsidized flat of yours back in 2008. Then you stayed like in a rental flat or rented flat, or you stay with your parents. Then suddenly, today decide to go into Piedmont Grand and buy direct from developer. So the agent salesperson will ask you, are you a second timer? The answer will be yes, because you have bought a subsidized flat before. So if you're a second timer, then he will tell you that, oh, are you aware that you have to pay this resale levy? Which yes, you have to pay. Right. So when is this resale levy paid? So you have to pay, all right, in cash upon taking possession of the second subsidized flat. So when you take possession of the new unit at Piedmont Grand, then you have to prepare this resale levy to be paid in cash only. You cannot expand your mortgage to cover this amount. You have to pay in cash, right? Second scenario, second situation, you are still staying in your current subsidized flat. You walk into Piedmont Grand, you make a booking for the Piedmont Grand, right? And then because you cannot own two subsidized flat at the same time, so eventually when you get your keys to Piedmont Grand, you will have to dispose of your current subsidized flat. So when you sell off this current flat that you are staying in, right, the resale levy will be deducted from the sales proceeds. So this 40,000 will be deducted from your sales proceed. That's why the calculator I catered for this resale levy, right? What happens if you okay, but do remember when whatever your sales proceed is, right? The first charge, as in the first two parties that you need to pay back, is number one, the bank, which gives you the bank loan, and number two, your CPF. So after you pay off these two, then whatever the rest that is left, right, then you use it to deduct your resale levy, your agent fees, and all the stuff. So in the scenario that after minusing off your loan, after minusing off your CPF, you are only left with $20,000 sales proceed. So, but your resale levy is 40,000. So what happens to the other 20,000 shortfall? You have to pay it back in cash. So like as stated here, any shortfall to be paid in cash. So do take note of that, right? So again, let me go back to your calculator. So this one will be applicable. You put it in if you are selling your flat after you take possession of your executive condo. So which I believe it may apply to a few of us, right? But if you have sold your house way back, like maybe 5 years ago, then or perhaps okay, sorry, in this example, perhaps you're just pure selling off this HDB flat. You're not buying an EC, you're not buying a new BTO. You're selling off. You're thinking of upgrading to a condo, upgrading to a landed, or you're just going to sell and buy a resale from open market. Then this resale levy doesn't apply at all. All right, so perhaps I go with the example of I am selling off this and then maybe I'm going to buy another resale from the open market. Maybe from Punggol, I'm moving to Bukit Merah, somewhere more central. So resale levy doesn't apply. So I just put 0. Okay. Okay, so now the third item is also very important. CPF utilized plus accrued interest. All right. Basically, to find out how much CPF you have to put back into your ordinary account. These are the amount that you have used for the purchase of your current subsidized flat. So in order to find out about how much you need to put back, you have to visit the CPF website. So over here, go over to the CPF homepage, right? There's two ways to log in. There's a login button at the top left-hand corner, or you can straight away click on here, view my statement. Both will direct you to log in with your SingPass as well. Okay, but this is something something just in case you're not aware, right? For the mortgage loan, so husband and wife, either party can log in and actually see what's the situation. But for CPF, let's say two owners, husband and wife, right? The husband will be responsible for checking his outstanding CPF. The wife will be responsible for checking her outstanding CPF. You need to log in separately and then you combine both figures together. All right. You won't be able to see each other because it's privacy. Right. So I'm going to log it in and then I'll see you inside the dashboard. Okay, bam, now we are inside my statement. So this is the dashboard. Wherever you are, look out for this portion called My Statement. Go click on it, and you actually come to this page where section A will show you how much ordinary account you have, special account, resale account. Okay, but this is not what we're here for. Go to the top, look for this net amount used and amount available. Go ahead and click on it. Okay, so once you click on it, it will actually speed scroll you down, jump down to section C. That's where we want to go to, and you will see over here. This is where you check how much CPF have you used for property, for investment, for education. So, say if you have bought some investment-linked products from your insurance agent, then you will see that reflected under this investment column. All right, but we are here for the property column. Then you realize that there's two lines, so you need to take the figures on both lines and add them up together. Right, that will form the amount of CPF that you have to return when you sell your house. Net amount used is straightforward. It's the CPF principal amount you have withdrawn for the purchase of the house. Basically, say if you have took a HDB loan of 90%, then usually the 10% you pay using your CPF. So that would form part of this amount. Then along the way, every month when you're paying your mortgage, most people will opt to use their CPF to offset their monthly mortgage payment. So again, every month that you use, every single dollar of CPF OA that you use will add into this net amount used. So you accumulate over time, right? That is pretty straightforward. But what is another interesting thing that perhaps you need to be aware of is this thing called accrued interest. All right, it is the interest that you have earned had your savings remain in your CPF account. Basically, it is interest being charged on the CPF amount that you have used, right? Some sort of like opportunity cost or something, right? So this amount, right, may seem insignificant initially, but it can snowball if you have used quite a sizable amount of your CPF and then you have owned the property for a number of years, right? So, and this is also one of the things that some people might miss out when they calculate their sales proceeds. Sometimes they realize, oh, so I'm selling off my house for 500,000, minus off my loan, minus off my CPF I've used. So I'm expecting to get back 200,000. Then they realize that, how come instead of 200,000 they actually only get back 150,000? That's also because they missed out this portion called the accrued interest that you had to add in. So in summary, go to section C, look at that amount used, look at accrued interest, add both together, and then this is the amount that you need to put back into your ordinary account. But of course, this amount, right, if you are planning to buy your next property, you can also utilize this amount, right, after it has returned to your CPF. So go ahead and let's go back to the calculator. And then put it in, all right? I'm just going to use, okay, let's just use 100,000, right, as a for discussion sake. So 100,000 CPF utilized plus accrued interest of all the owners that have used CPF for this house. So husband and wife, if have, add in both together, right? Okay, now last few items, I'll just run them through as well. Upgrading levy and upgrading costs. What are these two items? Again, you can gain more clarity if we go back to here. Okay, here, sorry. Upgrading levy, right? Okay, if your house is in upgrading precinct, all right, then you fall under certain conditions. If you have benefited from the previous main upgrading program, all right, then you might be liable to pay for the upgrading levy. It can be a bit confusing. So one of the best way to find out is straightforward. Just call HDB branch office and just quote them your unit number and ask them, is there upgrading levy applicable? They would be able to advise you. But do take note that there's this upgrading levy thingy here. But I would presume that it will more apply to people who are staying basically in mature estate, because if you stay in the newer estate, then there's no upgrading being done so far, right? But perhaps the more common one that I see is this thing called upgrading costs, right? And also this applies for people who are staying in mature estate, right? Usually you have either the lift upgrading program or the home improvement program. So lift upgrading program is where they actually build lifts for access to every level, so somebody has to pay for it, right? So home improvement program, maybe some of you have experienced, they'll come and change your main door, change your gate. A lot of times change the toilet also. They hack away the toilet and replace it, make it brand new, right? So somebody has to pay for it. The question is, who pays for it? Well, again, it depends, right? So after the upgrading program has been announced, at some point in time, they will bill you for the upgrading. So you will invoice. So who pays for it is being determined by who received this invoice, who is the owner at the point where this invoice is being issued out. So if you are the seller and you are the owner, and then while you're still the owner, the invoice has been issued to you, then of course you will be the person liable to pay for it. But let's say, example, they have declared, oh, we are going to do upgrading. Then after that, your sale completes on the 31st of December, 2018. then the invoice from HDB comes in January 2019, where the new buyer, the next owner has already taken over. Then that guy will be the one responsible for paying for the upgrading fees, right? So that's why sometimes when we bring buyers to visit some properties, HDB properties in mature estate, we know that few blocks have been earmarked for upgrading. We will always tend to ask the seller, have they already paid for the upgrading fees? It could be yes, could be no. So because it is a couple of thousands of dollars, so it will add up to your purchase price or selling price also. So do take note of that as well, right? So again, because we're talking about Pongo form flat, there's no upgrading applicable in this case, so I'm going to put 0 and 0 here. All right, next item, deposit paid by buyer. So when you sell your house, when you find the buyer say, okay, I want to buy a house, he will then subsequently give you a deposit. This deposit comes in two parts, option fee and then an option exercise fee. So typically, the option fee we always see in a lot of situations is $1,000 cash to you, the seller, and then within 3 weeks, if they exercise the option, then they will give another sum of money, not more than 5,000. So could be $1,000 first, then after that, within 3 weeks they'll give you another $4,000. So total $5,000. Right. So this is usually we issue via check, so it will go into your pocket. But again, do take note that this $5,000 is not a hard and fast rule. While most people will practice this, I have also seen instances where $500 option fee, then they do a $1,000 option exercise fee. Also have, right? At the end of the day, it's just a matter of whether you get this more cash upfront earlier, or you get it when the sale is complete, right? It doesn't change that eventual total amount that you get back, right? But let's say in this case, the option fee, this buyer is paying you 1,000 and 4,000. All right, you must remember that this is already cash inside your pocket, so you need to subtract from your sales proceed as well. All right, so I'm just going to put $5,000 here. Okay, legal fee. So when you sell your house, you need engage a lawyer for conveyancing matters. Um, if you can, suggested to always go with a HDB lawyer, because they are pretty good value for the work they're doing. Right? If not, then you have to engage an external lawyer. You can call up a few and see whether who gives you the best quote for the work that they are supposed to do. Right? It can range from $1,000 over to $2,000 over $3,000, depending on how much work to be done and how complicated the case is. Right? They will ask you things like, is there CPF involved, is there bank loan involved, and all stuff. How much the value of your house and all these things. Then they will quote you accordingly. So I'm just going to be a bit more conservative. I'm going to put a higher figure than most of you might experience. So I'm going to just put $3,000 here. Okay. All right. Agent fees. So if you're selling this house with the help of a real estate salesperson, then you would be paying him commission. So agent fee is where it goes to. Let me just pull out my calculator. 386000. Say you are paying him 2%. 7,720. 7,720. Excuse me. So sometimes it has to be in addition with GST. So to take note of that. All right. So okay, last item, others. Miscellaneous items that you might incur along the way, like when you submit for your HDB resale transaction, there's an admin fee to be paid. Not a lot, less than $100, but it's an admin fee to be paid. Perhaps there are some outstanding fees that you need to pay to CPF or HDB. Then with regards to this house, you put that in also, right? But more common, one of these items that I see is people who have bank loans. So it could be a case of you just refinance the bank loan last year, right? And then you are under 3 years lock-in period, but in the second year you decide to sell. So by selling, you need to redeem off your bank loan also. So when you redeem this bank loan, then there's an early redemption penalty that you need to incur. So could be it could run out to about $1,000-$2,000 depending on what's your arrangement with the bank. So if you have, then do take note and put that in, because that will eat into your sales proceed as well. But I'm just going to assume that is 0, right? So after putting in all these expenses, less of the expected sale price of 386,000, I am back with a figure of $120,280. So this figure is the amount that I would expect to get on the completion date with a cashier's order given to me by the HDB officer. So with this, you can then proceed to bank it in, right? This exercise is important because again, it gives you a objective figure of how much you expect to get when you sell off this house, be it whatever purpose you need for the sales proceed. Most people will be using this sales proceed together with their existing finances, with their bank loan, then go ahead and buy another new house. Then at least they know that with this, they will probably be able to take either lesser bank loan um, or perhaps this will be a safety buffer for them, right? So a variety of reasons. But I hope this video will has helped you and give you a better idea of how to go about tabulating your uh, expected sale price sales proceeds when should you decide to sell off your HDB, right? So probably in the next video I will do another one on what happens after this, right? How to go about calculating your affordability, how to go about budgeting for your next purchase. So until then, I'll see you at the next video. Bye bye. This is Kevin. Bye bye.